Cheech here with Fly Fish Food for Skill Builder number 5. Today we have a really cool one for you. We're going to show you 2 ways to tie your thread onto the hook. Seems simple, but watch it. You might learn something. For the second skill builder, how to make a wing case without tying it in. And finally, we're going to show you a real quick way how to spin deer hair. Doesn't have to be difficult. There are a few little hacks in there that you might not know that might help you out next time you decide to tie some deer hair flies.
Dude, that's a big brown, bro.
Okay, we're going to show you 2 easy ways to tie your thread on the hook to start it. Keep in mind, these skill builders are designed for beginners and tyers of all types. I learned this from another guy that's a professional tyer after I had been tying for a long time on one of these. So check it out. There's no skill too simple to learn from. All right, so this is how I do it. I'm wasteful. I don't care if I waste 4, 5, 6 inches of thread per time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this around this finger, start from behind the hook like this, and I'm just going to start wrapping my thread forward and then wrapping my thread down back to where I want it. About midway down, I'm just going to pull tight and yank my thread against itself. Then you break your thread, continue wrapping down, and now you have a really clean thread start. All right, that's one way if you want to waste thread, which I'm okay with. This is a method I learned from old Charlie Craven, one of the best tyers there is. And his method starts with the thread, just a little short section of thread. And I'm just going to, I'll try to make this so you can see it. I'm just going to put my finger against the hook shank and really try to get it as close to the end as I can and wrap forward. Okay. Wrap forward like this and then catch the thread on top of itself, start wrapping backward. And now, because I pinched my thread there, there's no waste and I have the same concept as before. If I practiced that, I'd probably be just as fast with this one as I am in the other one. Anyway, at the end of the day, if you take your thread and you bring it from behind the hook and bring it toward you to start the first wraps, wrap your thread however you need to on top of itself, you're good to go. Okay, this is a really cool tip that I'm going to show you on a sow bug, but you can really use this on any fly type that has a wing case on it. So as you can see on a sow bug, typically you're going to have some type of fiber tied on the back, pulled over the top with some ribbing in it. And I'm going to show you a way to make a wing case or a shell back without using any materials like that. So step 1, I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm just going to make a line down the back of this. Just a very faint line. You can do that with red marker, orange marker, wine colored marker. Then I'm going to take some resin, and it should be the right consistency. This is Solarez thin, but it's still quite a bit thicker than Flow and Bone Dry, so it will create kind of a bubble. It does seep in. I want it to seep in a little bit to make the fly durable, but what I'm going to do is pretty much take a little bead of resin and just run that all down the back of the sow bug. And then once it's soaked in where I want it, I just turn it upside down. So now it's going to create a bubble and I'm going to cure it. So now that went from a pretty plain fly to a really cool looking sow bug with a nice hard shell on it. Super durable bug. And I do this on Pat's rubber legs too. So imagine a Pat's rubber leg. You trim the thorax chenille a little bit and put some resin there. You've got a wing case without tying it in. So maybe we'll do one on that too. Right, Brig? We are going to show you how to spin deer hair. Now, I agree. There are lots of people who spin deer hair. There are a lot of people who are better than me at this. This is just the way I do it. And I'm going to show you a few little tips and tricks that might make it easier for you. A couple things you're going to need. This is a Primo strip of deer hair. It's got a really nice squish factor. It's nice and cushy. There's a lot of usable hair here. However, I've got a lot of underfluff, which is not ideal. And a lot of these fibers are not the same size. So I'll show you ways that you can get around that. I'm going to need a really big hair stacker. This is the Peak Magnum hair stacker, and it's about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. There's one from TMCO that's big and wide. Dr. Slick has a wide one, but I like this one because it's nice and heavy. It's unfinished, so there's no static, and it won't roll off the desk. Long scissors are also make this easier. These are the 5-inch razor scissors from Dr. Slick. And the only reason I go over the products is because without fail, you will ask me what I used in this. So if you already have tools, absolutely use them. There's nothing about this hair stacker or these scissors that are better than what you already have, unless what you have sucks. Then get new stuff. All right, so first things first, I've got a little buggery thing here, and we're going to put a collar on this, just a kind of a quick and dirty muddler head. So I've got GSP 200 denier in the vise. You've got to use thick thread or else your GSP will cut through your hair when you tie it in. So I'm going to start getting a clump here. When I cut this, I'm going to get the piece of hair that I want to cut. And you can even use the tip of your fingers to kind of piece it out if you want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hair flat, and I'm just going to mash my scissors down into this hair and just cut it. And so here I have a really giant clump. That's more hair than I probably need for this fly. But as I said, some of these fibers are shorter than other fibers. So as I start to clean this hair, you'll see a lot of those come out. You saw this already in another skill builder where you move your fingers back and forth. It just kind of opens up the clump of hair and it allows you to get down into the stuff that really needs to be brushed out. So here you go. There are a whole bunch of smaller fibers in there. I'll put those to the side. Most hair patches aren't going to have this many. I kind of took this out of the shop because I didn't want to sell it because it was bad. But I'm showing you that it's still totally usable if you just clean it properly. All right. So once I have it here, I'm going to grab these fibers with my other hand. Now, one thing that will help you practice working with deer hair is get a clump and just pass it back and forth hand to hand like this without messing up how it looks. Okay, that's a critical skill that you need to get good at if you're messing with deer hair. Okay, so that's number one. Another little quick tip, when you're using a big stacker and a big chunk of hair, if I just put that down right from a vertical orientation, a lot of the hair in the center of this clump would fall away to the bottom, and the hair on the sides would stick to the sides, and it gets messy. So I like to put it at an angle like this, put my hair in, kind of rotate it around till all the tips decide they want to play, and then kind of put it like that, and then for fun you can take something and smash it down in there. Worked better last time, Brigham. No. So once your hair's there, push it down in, and now you got to smack the table. When my daughter Audrey was a little girl, whenever I would do this in the basement, she'd yell down, "Dad, are you doing deer hair?" So if you're doing deer hair properly, your kids should hear it from upstairs. I'm going to get it nice and stacked. And now I want my deer hair to be facing this way. Okay, so here I have the stacker ready to pull off the end. And you can see my deer hair is nice and aligned, really looks good, even though it came from a less than ideal hair patch. Now, another hack is you get one of your fingers, you push that through so you give yourself a little bit of playing room to grab onto, okay? Grab it with your offhand. I've got 200 denier in here already started. I'm actually going to take it back to where the body meets the hook. And I'm ready to put this in. So again, I'm going to transfer the hair in my hands. And I'm pretty well just like it was before. On a muddler type head where you're spinning the collar or a head out of this hair, it's going to shrink when you start cranking down. So if I want my muddler head to be, right in the middle of the body or so, I'm going to tie it in so it's a little bit longer than that, maybe about like this. So I'll lay that on my hook, and I'm just going to grab that with my offhand. Let me see if I can reposition this so you can see it. All right, so this is what it looks like from my view, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one wrap, and I'm going to put a little tiny bit of tension on it so I can see the hairs start to want to move, okay? I'm going to do another wrap, similar tension, but add a little, or in the exact same spot, and add a little bit of tension on it. And then by the time I do my third wrap, I'm just going to pull toward me and let it wrap all the way around the hook. Okay. Now, it didn't distribute perfectly, and that's fine. But what I did is I used my thread tension to come back over where this hair is wrapping the collar, and I kind of teased it to do what I want it to do. All right. So this is pretty well spread out. At this point, you can grab the hair and move it all around. Let's pretend like I wanted to, fix a section here. So get your hands in here, move it around. But what happens is through here now I've just mashed down a lot of that hair. And because we're spinning this and I'm putting my thread around it, it can cause really big issues in that part of the hair. Okay. Once we trim it, you're going to see fibers that are either caught up in the thread or whatever. So take a comb, brush it out, and fix all those hairs that aren't sitting right. Okay, don't brush very hard because we still don't have it tied in very tight, and that's fine. So now, with a lot of tension, and it's still going to spin a little bit, and what you can see here is I'm trapping a few hairs. So there's a problem spot right there. I should be able to just brush it over, and now I'm good. So really good tension all the way up through the head. Okay. So now I should be sitting right behind the hook eye, and the hook eye is not even visible right there. And that's fine, because I can just take my hands and I can smash that head back. That's basically being a hair packer. And now I've exposed the hook, and I'm ready to trim my muddler head, kind of anyway. So take your thread up here. That is so tight in there, you might not even need a knot, but let your bobbin hang. Do a little twist, put your thread on the hook, and then the weight of the bobbin will pull it down. Anyway, whatever you got to do to put a half hitch on there. Whip finishing is pretty tough with that many fibers. All right, so here we have it. The age-old question, what do you use to trim a muddler head? And my answer is not a razor blade, okay? I don't think that it's spun tight enough for a razor blade to really be the best tool for this. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to brush these all out to make them nice and straight. And I'm just going to get my good old hair scissors on this one, okay? So here we have the shank of the hook right here. And imagine that, like, here's the eye of the hook. I'm just going to rest my hook, my scissors on that angle like this. And I'm going to just start chopping, and I'm going to rotate my vise, keeping my scissors at the same angle the whole time. And I'm just going to rotate the vise as I cut, and if I need to make the head a little bit more angled, I'm going to just move the angle of my scissors. So it should look like this. See, I'm moving a little bit further back toward the collar and just kind of teasing into the collar. You're never going to want to put your scissors this angle, okay? So the head is at this angle here. Your scissors should always be righting that angle. Anytime you're coming into making a cut like this, it's going to screw everything up. All right, so zoo cougars, you could go flatter on the bottom, or you could come in now with a razor blade and, trim the bottom flat. All right, so once we have it trimmed, I could sit here and do this for a long time. I did get some hairs that didn't quite make it down flat with the other ones, so I'll brush them out again. And you can do this over and over until you cut all the hair off and you ruin it and you have to start over again. So the final step, I'm just coming around here and trimming off some of these butt ends. But at the end of the day, there you have it. That's a real easy spun muddler head. And all you got to do is practice until you've thrown a few tools at the wall, and then you'll get it. If you like these skill builders, and we've had a ton of fun making them for you, make sure to subscribe and like the videos and share them with your friends. We'll keep making them.